Hello, 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 Internet. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Coded Live, folks. Welcome. This is a super fun day that we have been plotting for a week or so. So I'm really excited. I'm your host, Sam Basu, host for the day. And with me, I have my good friend, David. No, this way, that way. How are
Hey,
you, sir?
good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening,
Got a good
everyone.
contrast going with our lighting. You've got the full white lighting, everything in the background there, and I have this dark cave.
I'm still sticking with Maddie's kitchen. Yeah, I might keep
Is
on
that
using it for
Manny's
a while.
actually? That's
No,
funny.
no, we have held on to that joke for like 2 3 years now. This was that build where our good friend Maddie Leger from the Microsoft .NET MAUI team, she was streaming from her kitchen, which looked like spick and span, and everyone thought it was a virtual background, but it wasn't. So
Yes, and it
that's
became
the
a
inside
virtual
joke.
background. Yeah.
Yes. All right, so yeah, like I said, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Chat room is getting busy here. Mr. No Mercy, you are the first. Yes. Yes. Hey, everyone. Hey, Eva and Cindy. These two wonderful ladies here are the folks who are, who make us look good. They give us all the things, all the little overlays in the videos that you see in between. So thank you. And wherever you might be in the world, I hope you're well and trying to be as productive as you can. So before I hand it over to David here, just a quick round of housekeeping here. This is a special stream. This is a Tuesday, and we are doing a snorkeling in Maui stream, which is a long stream. And just like the way we snorkel, we put on some gear and we look under the surface. That's kind of our goal here today with .NET MAUI, which David's going to tell us all about. Get us started, and then we have a pretty good agenda for going 3.5, 4 hours all day today. Half a day, and we have pulled together some friends from the community who are passionate about .NET MAUI and willing to share. And we have come a long way, David. I distinctly remember like the first preview of .NET MAUI dropping. That was like March 2021, and here we are. So, folks, welcome, and glad you're here. Glad you can, hopefully you can stay around. Grab some coffee or your favorite beverage, and sit back and relax, and let's learn from some experts. We do have some prizes to give away as well. So I will drop a banner down at the bottom. You can just watch wherever you're watching, but if you want to, participate in a quick prize, there's a form that you can fill up and get yourself going. And there's Nightbot giving you that form right there. So with that, hold on, our good friend Vicky is here too. Hello. Good to see everyone, and morning, TBD Gamer. All right, so David, you ready? I see your desktop, so let's fire it up.
Yes.
So David has 45 minutes, and then we'll keep on switching back to back.
I'm on the clock. Oh, I
You
feel
are.
like I need to race now. Hey, everybody. I am David Ortinau, Program Manager for .NET and working on .NET MAUI. Working with an awesome team of folks who are working on .NET MAUI all across the .NET and Visual Studio teams. It's been a huge effort to bring Xamarin over to .NET Core, I guess is the way to say that. .NET 6. It's where we're going to be. We're just going to talk through some things. As you can see, I've got maybe you can't see, but if you zoom in on your own screen, I can't zoom on the StreamYard. You'll see that I got a bunch of yellow exclamation points. Visual Studio screaming at me. So here's what my days usually look like. Okay. If you want to know what's it like to be a program manager working on a brand new product that's in preview that you're going to be shipping. Every morning you come in and you're going to validate, how are things going, what's broken, what's working, etc. And so the first thing you do is you update your environment. So you come over here to PowerShell and you hope that you can get things working. And then you run a big old script like this .NET workload install MAUI with a bunch of special sources and everything. And it's all public and available. You can find it on our GitHub. I'm not showing you anything that's super secret. So we don't really have super secret stuff in the Maui repo anyway. And so I run this, and then you hope that you get, good success and good messages. But I typically will find that I'm good at breaking my system. So long story short, my Windows machine is not working, but I do have my Mac machine working. So I'm going to talk through a few things here. What's it like to wake up, get yelled at? No, no, they're all gone by the time I wake up. What are you talking about? I'm the last one to get up in this house. My wife's a teacher. My kids are in school. One's married. I don't even know
And this might be a bit of a news here. This summer, the word is David is expecting to ship 2 babies, not one. One is not in Maui, but you're also expecting to be a grandparent soon. Is that right?
I am. Yes, right.
Congratulations.
Yes. My daughter's been married a few years and decided to get rolling. So yeah, we're gonna have a grandchild in August. I look old enough, right? Everybody, I look old enough. All right, let's talk about Maui though. So I do have an app up here that I wanted to kind of just showcase, which I don't know, it doesn't show up too well dark on dark, but so this is a UI that I've started working on based on a design that I found on uplabs.com, uplabs.whatever. So it's a beautiful design. It's basically a food point of sale system. So you can see I've got a custom flyout navigation on the side here. I've got a couple of columns, lanes of content, and then it's going to scroll. And so, it gives me an opportunity to use some of the new controls and the new layouts that are in .NET MAUI. But the great thing is I can, of course, be building a WinUI, WinApp SDK app just like this. I also have the ability to build for Android, iOS, Catalyst, and Windows. So what is .NET MAUI? It's really a one-stop shop for building desktop and mobile applications with .NET, and they're native applications, right? So anything that you can do in a WinUI, WinApp SDK application, you have access to all the same APIs. Same thing goes for Android, iOS, and Mac OS. For the most part, there are certainly some APIs of iOS and Android that are much more specialized and niche, and those will require some additional efforts to be able to take advantage of. But for the core scenarios that most of us really spend most of our time building for, that's what we have. So whenever I want to switch between platforms, all I need to do is just pick the new platform, and now I have my Android emulator. Same thing would go for iOS simulators, which I don't have my Mac build host connected at the moment. My Mac is sitting down below here. But it is actually working. I'm super excited to have my Mac build host working last week. So that was great. And but I also have my Mac working. So I want to give you a quick tour. Obviously, I'm speaking extemporaneously here. So if you have questions, I assume that Sam, you'll throw questions up, or heckling. I can take some heckling too.
I'll be your, sidekick all day long asking questions.
Awesome. So a little bit about. I'll try to zoom in, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. That doesn't zoom on the screen share, does it?
But I mean, it's readable.
Okay. So a quick tour of Maui. Everything really starts in the app, XAML. In this particular case, I've put my shell file in here. Shell is really just the container of your application where you can host all your content. This could also just be a content page. It could be a flyout page. It could be a tabbed page. Any of those top level navigation pages will work here also. I like to put it in my app XAML, keep my file system clean. But you could also have an app shell XAML, which is what our templates show you, and kind of separate things out. So everything really starts here.
And our good friend James Montemagna has been super excited because this was his PR. He's wanted shell to be the default for a long time. It's there, and it's not pushy. I mean, you don't have to use it if you would rather do it from scratch.
You don't have to use it. Yes, and that's really people have always often asked me, hey, what is the guidance? What is the best practice? Right, the best practice. And I'll be honest, I've been doing software development for over 25 years now. And first thing that Dan deletes, that's fine. Go Prism. I heard Prism's pretty popular, man. But the best practice is what's going to work for you. I've shipped some very successful software that I would say is probably the gnarliest, ugliest, worst patterns that you could imagine, but it worked and it hit the mark for users. Then I've seen some stuff that's beautifully architected, super clean, and nobody uses it. So it's like, what are you after? So all that. Let's see here. So AppXAML is really where your entry point for your cross-platform code starts. And then we have this new MAUI program. So this is an app builder, essentially, that uses Microsoft extensions. So we're going to create the MAUI app, and then we can do all of our configuration things here. So the first thing that happens is we tell it to use the MAUI app, and we pass in that app, which is defined in the AppXAML. And that is going to begin wiring everything up for us at the start of our application. And we can do other things like configure fonts. We can configure lifecycle services per platform. We can configure, essentials services, which essentials is really the catch-all name for your device sensors and those cross-platform non-UI things that are now baked into MAUI. This is also where I imagine, Sam, you would initialize any Telerik controls that you're going to use, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir. We actually have a simple extension method. It's just called use Telerik that brings in all the things that we need.
And I imagine that Dan Siegel has made a use Prism. Have you, Dan, made a use Prism?
I think it might be in the works.
I think we've got some community toolkit wiring and things like that. But the great thing is you can do all that stuff here. I would highly recommend looking at the .NET Podcast app. I mean, we are on the internet, so I think it's worth looking at that because it's a better sample than this.
Well, it's very red.
Podcasts. I turned this red because I'm working with a new vertical monitor over here, and I wanted to have a different color to segment all my things. I don't know. I'm trying to be productive over here. So this is a great sample for you to look at because if we go into the mobile app and then we look at the MAUI program here, you can kind of see a bit more of a complex setup, although it doesn't look that complex because the team that worked on this has separated all of these things out. Weren't you used to be able to like navigate through these things? Isn't that something that Nat did for us on GitHub a while back? What happened to all that? Where are the host builder things? Yeah, not there. But you can go explore this and see some of the different things that you can do to set up your application, make it nice and clean and easy. And then from here, in this particular application, actually, this is for everybody. Sorry. But you have all of your platform native code down here. David yelled at us on Twitter to be here. I did. Come on, bring it. Yeah, playoffs are starting soon for hockey. You know it. I don't know how my Blues are going to do, but it's time to start paying close attention. As long as they get further than the Bruins, that's all I really care about. Can't let Maddie and my other coworkers in Boston get one up on me. Let's see here. So this is where my platform code can live. It doesn't have to live here, but this is the convention that we've started with. So if you're used to having multiple project heads, which you totally can still do. Somebody asked me that somewhere. I don't know if it was on Twitter or it was on a GitHub or an email or something. Hey, do I have to, it was a comment on the blog. That's what it was. Do I have to use this single project thing? I, like to use my multiple projects. I feel it's cleaner for me, etc. You totally can do that. You do not have to use, I'm okay. Nice. Bruins. You do not have to use single project. However, you're going to get some conveniences here that you would not or would be more difficult for you to get otherwise. Multi-targeting being one, but also the images and the font helpers and things like that. So you can also, and this is something that I do in other applications, if you have a platform-specific bit of code, let's say that you're implementing a camera view, you can slap your camera view code in here, or you're bringing custom renderers over from another legacy application, a Xamarin.Forms application. You're like, where should I put my custom renderer code? Put it in the platform folders for each platform. That's a really easy way to do it. Let's see here. And then custom layouts are a whole lot easier. I'm going to show custom layouts over on my Mac, which is now going to sleep. So I should probably move on to that a little bit faster. What time is it? 15. We've already killed 15 minutes, Sam.
Oh, very good, very good. And I was going to mention, like, while you're bringing it up, maybe like if you want to bring up your last blog post for the RC2 release. So we are sitting pretty at RC2, and David, there might be one more RC release candidate.
Yep, there is another RC coming. If you look at our main repo, you'll see that we've already branded it RC3. So little tip if you want to see what's coming.
I love the Tizen part. So folks who might not know, this is Samsung. This is what runs your fridge and your TV and your smartwatches, and we got .NET MAUI running on it now.
Yeah, I think some folks were a little surprised to see an addition in an RC2. It really kind of wasn't an addition. It is, it isn't. But it's something the Samsung team has worked really, really hard on, and it really only comes into play if you're targeting Tizen, right? So for those who are primarily concerned about mobile and desktop, don't worry about the Tizen folder, but explore it, look at it, it's cool. And if you've got the TV, you've got the fridge, you've got an opportunity to do that. And they have mobile devices too. Some people don't know that because we're so isolated over here in the US. Or the rest of the world. I speak as if everybody watching is in the US, and you're obviously not. So
if developers, sometimes we're concerned about our, not having design skills. Like if you want to see your bad UI, just put it on a TV.
Just put it on a TV. It'll blow up, right? And it gets really, really large. But they've actually been following along, and they've got all of our samples running. Which is awesome. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing a TV emulator with the emulated remote control, and that's also the same app running on Tizen OS for mobile phones. So yeah, there's some really great stuff in there, but for the most part, everything that we've been shipping in the RCs is bug fixes. That's the same case for RC3, which will come out. Let's say about a week. Okay, well,
you heard it here.
About a week, because build's coming up pretty soon. So everybody's got your ticket for build, right? Everybody should be coming to build.
May 26th.
So I don't even know. Like I've been working on the RC3 blog post, and because it's like all bug fixes, I got to figure out what to talk about. Because usually you have a feature addition, and it's like, well, what am I going to talk about? It got stabler. A picture of a cement pad or something like that. It's more stabler.
Yeah. And in the chat room, Acido, I think his name is Victor, is asking if you can do Tizen dev on Mac OS. I want to say yes, because I've been able to do that in the past for Xamarin.Forms, but I think their emulators may be in the process of being reworked.
Yeah, so the here's a kind of, maybe not there. I thought I saw something that related. So the thing is with that, if you're used to the way that Xamarin did your installs, and in particular Xamarin.Forms did distribution, it was a NuGet package, and we still use NuGet infrastructure, but now in .NET 6 with optional workloads, with .NET workloads, everything is baked in, and you have to have installers for everything. So Samsung owns all of their own installers for Tizen. We don't yet have support for other platforms in our workload system. MAUI really is the first big workload to be part of this new architecture and infrastructure within .NET. So once we get our stuff figured out and stabilized and shipped, and we learn from it, and we figure out what worked well and what needs to be improved, then we'll consider what we can do to bring other opportunities like Tizen or a Linux platform or anything like that into the mix. So for now, they own all of their own installers. And so if they provide an installer to get their bits onto a Mac, then I imagine it all works, because all the rest of it is .NET build stuff. Well, not all the rest of it. But there is some tooling specific to Visual Studio that may also be an issue. So I would absolutely ping Rookie Java on Twitter, and Congo will gladly answer all of your questions. Or Jay. Both are active on Twitter. So I don't know about you, but one of the things I love about the single project is the resources folder. You can now get all of your styles in here, which I don't know if everybody has noticed this. This is actually one of my style sheets, but it's essentially the same as what you're going to get in the template nowadays. Is you get all the different styles for all the different controls, because what we did at the core platform level is, thanks, Dan. What we did at the core platform level is we kind of leveled everything out. Level. And so what that means is that defaults that had arbitrary numbers in the past based on what iOS or Android was doing, a padding of 8 here and a border size of this here or a color of this there, we leveled all that stuff out and said, you know what, we're not going to do that to you. We're not going to force those things on you. So now you get everything level, but that also means now when the app comes out, if you don't have any styling for it, it's going to look very, very stark. So we now provide a style sheet that comes with it, and I think it's great because you now have a pattern for how to do all of these things right in your application. So I've got a layout, and I want to be able to change states based on whether it's selected or not. This is actually something from Shell. And so you have a pattern for this right in your template application. So hopefully it's a good learning tool.
Yeah.
I used to have to search for stuff like this to figure out how to do it. And we told people all the time, I did, because Jason Smith told me to tell people all the time, don't slam a bunch of stuff into your resource dictionaries for styles.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Especially fonts and things like that. But
yeah.
Because it's going to slow down the start of your application,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is what we would tell folks, because we were trying to eke out every bit of performance on that. And by doing this during the process of releasing .NET MAUI, we have been able to make the change, see the impact on startup, and optimize for it. So we did take a bit of a hit when we made this change, but the team has worked to reclaim that time to make sure that things compile when they need to compile and things like that.
Yeah, no, this is really good. Because I mean, like you said, it's not just one style sheet; it's a style guide. You know, it's got visual state managers and other things all over the place.
Exactly, and hopefully it's a good pattern. Like you were saying, you know, those who may be design challenged, it's a good pattern to say, okay, well, you know, where do I put my colors and how many colors do I need to theme my application? Let me just take my corporate branded hexadecimal color, slam it into that style sheet, and now your app looks like, you know, your company made it. So.
Yeah. And you can also like clear it out. You know, I mean, take out the things that you're not using. And if I'm looking at the chat room, Mr. No Mercy, I do see your questions. I'm just holding on to them for a little bit so David can maybe, you know, finish things off, because you're asking some really good questions here. Victor here loves the single project. We actually have Leo Mars coming on a little while later to talk just about the single project experience itself.
I've got my control gallery running here.
Oh, there you go.
So this is my control gallery. This is where I make and break things. But I've got it in Shell, obviously. So I can see that I've already got some things that I'm looking for bug fixes to flow through, so that styling gets fixed on a few things that are not the way that I designed it. But essentially what I did is I took all the samples from Xamarin.Forms and started bringing them into this one application so that I could just start poking around at it and being like, okay, does this stuff work? I mean, it's not amazing, but yeah, that's, I mean, the app is not amazing. Obviously it's wonderful and amazing that we have all of these things working. But this helps me to validate that all of these things are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I clearly broke something here with my borders, because I know borders do work. But I've got my buttons, and so, oh, okay, my padding issue here. So is that one of those level defaults that I need to, you know, document and make sure that our style sheets account for, or what happened there? It's, you know, it's great that we now have consistency. And apparently I hid my my navigation bar. Let's see, what page is that? That's the buttons page. Let's go fix that. We can fix this, right?
Yeah, on the fly. Why not? And while you're doing that, I'm going to read a little
code it live, man.
Exactly. A few comments here from the chat room. Victor is saying the single project is great, but it could use some better folder file identification icons. Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So talk to the folks, and actually Jake is perfect to talk to. But I mean, this is actually Visual Studio, so I think Victor asked that question next, like icon extensions. Talk to the team. I think this is Jordan Matheson and John Galloway and that team that's working on VS for Mac. So bring it up to them.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a backlog work item to do that. Part of this is also, we've created this structure, but is this what is going to make the most sense for everybody? We're absolutely looking for that feedback. And yes, our earliest designs, which you may have seen, did include some beautiful images and stuff. Ooh, I clicked on checkbox and it looks like it's going to barf. You ever get that moment of like, uh-oh, what just happened? Uh-oh, beach ball. Oh, you can't see the beach
We
ball.
have been on this ride with you, David, and the .NET MAUI team for a year and a half now. We are used to this, but yeah, like you said, things are.
Is anybody hating on me yet for using VS for Mac?
I use it all the time. Hey, I use VS Code all the time and command line all the time.
Blank solution. All kinds of things happen when you go on a live stream that have never happened before. Where'd the solution go?
So, Depeche, if I'm saying that right, yes. I think you're mentioning like macOS as a target. So yeah, you can just run your app from VS for Mac pretty much now, even though it's in preview on macOS through Mac Catalyst, on iOS, on Android, which is really nice. And then you still have your command line things to target Mac if you wanted to. Oh, and look, Ella, who else is here in the chat room hanging out with us?
Richie.
Hello, Alan. Hello, Richie.
Yeah, but we were working on stable bits at the time, Alan. You were much more worried about that than I was. This is live streaming. This is we're just here to chat. This is something I did want to show off for folks because it's relatively new and works super well. So I in an earlier iteration of this. Let's see, I stopped running, didn't I? Let me get this thing back up on the screen. So in an earlier iteration, I was using a bindable layout on a Flex layout. And Flex layout, up until late last night, had a sizing issue. And so it would be like blank, or you would try to click on something and you couldn't click on things because the size of the container was not representative of the content. So we had an issue where I couldn't click on anything here, which I can now, which is great. So that bug got fixed and merged last night, and I'm looking forward to it. But in the meantime, I'm like, hey, all I really want is I just want my content to flow and wrap. So like that. That's all I want. I'm a simple person. That's all I'm asking for. And so I didn't really need all the complexity of the Flex layout. And so Easy Heart, who is an engineer on the team, I happened to notice that he tweeted that he had shipped several custom layouts. And so one of the things in Maui that's brand new is this ability to simplify the layout, the way that we handle layouts in general, right? Like Xamarin.Forms layouts from 8 years ago kind of grew very organically, and we learned a bunch of things from it. The engineering team did, and they explained it to me that this new stuff is much better. And so I do believe that it is, because if we look at it, let's see, I'm using the horizontal wrap layout. The horizontal wrap layout itself is just extending a stack layout, and it's implementing the layout manager. So the layout manager is really where all the magic is. And you can see I've got several different layouts in here that Easy put together. But there's really two methods to be concerned about. One is the measure, and the other is the arranged children, which scrolling seems to work really slow on screen share. Arranged children. So these are the two things, and I have a really well working fast layout here in less than 125 lines of code. And in terms of like how could I debug this, etc., could I build my own layout? Yes, absolutely, you can. You don't have to wait for us to ship a new layout. You can do this. If you look at how custom layouts were done previously in Xamarin.Forms, it's not terribly different, but I think that this is a bit cleaner, and it certainly performs really, really well. I've been happy with it. And as you can see, for no additional cost, I can use it with a bindable layout. If you're not familiar with bindable layouts, essentially it's an attached property that you can use on any layout to turn it into a repeater. If you've used other platforms where you have repeater controls, or what are they called, items collections, or items view, I guess is perhaps what other platforms call it. It's just a simple layout attached functionality that's going to iterate over whatever you give it. It doesn't have virtualization. No, it doesn't. I just answered that. Come on, man. It doesn't have virtualization. You can add virtualization. That's really up to you in terms of how you implement the layout manager, right? Because that's where the virtualization would go. In this particular case, it's not virtualizing. Bindable layout in general, I guess, is not virtualizing. So maybe I misspoke about where that logic would go, whether it's in the layout or the bindable layout piece. But yeah, if you want virtualization, collection view is the way to go. Hang on a second. I need to go fill out a form for a $50 Amazon gift card.
Hey,
am I eligible?
I'll throw that in. Yeah, sure. We're going to pick at the end of the stream. We'll email you.
Hey, we've got a few minutes left. I want to show you something cool. I keep getting these prompts and I'm like, can I do that later? All right, so I'm going to kill the control gallery, which, by the way, all this stuff is up on my GitHub. Well, at least that is. The food point of sale thing is up there too. It's very raw. I'm still working on it. But I want to pull up the Reverb projects and solutions. Reverb. So if you're familiar with Reverb, Reverb is a used musical instrument, musical stuff app and service and website and business. My kid, who is a great guitar player and musician, constantly buys things on Reverb, but they have a really cool UI. And so I wanted to reproduce it a while back. And I did that on Xamarin.Forms. And, but when I tried to port it recently, I just crashed it. When I tried to port it recently, I realized, oh, be like that I needed Xam animation because I was using some cool animation helpers from Javier Suarez Ruiz. And it's a community library that's been out there forever. So this is kind of where we are in the ecosystem at the moment, where I've got code, I've got apps, and I want to bring them over, but I need these libraries to be there for me, right? And so what this library does is it provides this really sweet, it's probably not coming over super well on the stream, but as you can see, that top box fades away and scales out. But I've got some parallax going here is really what this whole control does. And so within just a few minutes, I was able to bring this over, and because Javier updated his Xam animation and published Maui animation. So if you have a library that has Xamarin.Forms dependencies, then they do need to be ported. Namespaces need to be updated. Types need to be updated and brought over. And then just need to be recompiled for the new target framework. And hopefully that's as easy as it is. I know that's been a request we've been hearing a lot is how can I update my own libraries for .NET 6 and .NET MAUI, make sure they're ready. And we've been working super close with Telerik and other component vendors to make sure that we can answer all the technical questions, but also make sure that they're ready, because we know that, and I didn't plan this as a pitch for you, by the way, but you know, we know that this is kind of where we are in the process of releasing Maui. And I think it would be helpful for everybody to understand the trajectory of where we're going, right? Like, we're going to GA this thing. The SDK is going to be declared stable, and we're going to continue fixing whatever bugs there are, right? And we're going to ship again in .NET 7 in November, and we're just going to keep pounding on the quality of this thing. But during that period of time, really the main focus and effort is going to be bringing the ecosystem forward. A lot of the ecosystem of libraries out there have been waiting for a GA product that they can depend upon, that they know that Microsoft is supporting for the long term. I mean, hey, .NET is 20 years old, right? Where's my... I'm on the wrong desktop. I had the desktop background that had 20 years old on it, and that would have been super awesome for me to actually have that at the moment. But so it is something that everybody can take a bet on, and we're going to need the ecosystem of libraries that are important and useful to come forward. Now, some things can be replaced in Maui with things that we now ship, such as we ship in addition to the frame that we've always had. Where's my frame? Wow, scrolling is so slow when you're, here we go. I got a frame. And you can see that this frame was using material. Material is not a thing anymore. Google stopped shipping it. So there is no material in Maui. And you can see that my app didn't crash just because visual material was there. So that's nice. But what I would do here is, if I don't want that frame, I would replace it with a border, because a border effectively does all the things that say well, yeah, pretty much everything that what was Steven's control? Pancake view. That the magical pancake view, or Frenchman. I just forgot his name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't
Sharknado.
Yeah.
That Sharknado would do. Border now can do a lot of those things. Now, of course, you can continue using those controls if they're shipping from Maui, but in the interim, switch over to a border and you get tons of control with that. And now I can't. Oh, because switching between Windows and Mac. Does anybody ever have trouble with their hands not knowing which keystrokes?
Oh, yeah. Muscle memory. I do that all the time. I'm going to read some chat room stuff here. Our friends are here. Yeah, Real.NET Dave was here. Hello, and good to see you. Another guitar lover. Foolish Nabble is here. It is time to Maui. It is almost time. Org Brett was asking if this particular app, you have it on your repo. Do you?
The Reverb, I have not pushed this version of the code yet. It is part of Zappy. So Zappy's up there, but that's all Xamarin.Forms code. And I have not ported the entire Zappy app yet. I just grabbed one screen and UI and brought it over here.
Yeah, Binary Chef, good morning as well. So let's go back here, David. I'm going to post a question that Mr. No Mercy had been asking. It's a long question, but essentially it's about, giving developers confidence, and, making things more dev friendly, roadmap, and just, overall moving, like you said, moving the ecosystem forward. So what's your take compared to everything else that's right now out there? What are you folks trying to do?
Yeah, so we're obviously very aware. I shouldn't say obviously. We are aware of what's going on in the ecosystem from other other technologies that folks are using, and we get asked about it a lot. We certainly want to be the obvious choice for building cross-platform applications, no matter where you're coming from. So we want to be competitive in that space, so that everybody's asking Flutter. Well, Maui looks really good. Basically flip the question, right? So really what we're trying to understand in all of these conversations, when you say that it's more developer friendly, like, what does that mean to you? Give me some specific examples of how we could improve Maui, whether it's a documentation thing, samples, the way in which we use XAML versus C#. Like, do you need more C# samples to make that make sense? Is MVVM getting in the way of it seeming simple? Let's talk through those things, and we can build some, strategies around that. Typically, what we mostly hear is hype related. There's a lot of hype, and so you have to kind of dig through that and say, okay, well, what's the actual business impact here? And that's what we want to understand is, we certainly want to be the cool kids too, right? And I think that we have a great technology. The reality is that we're in a very different place in our journey as a technology than where someone like Flutter is, or, you look at React Native and where React Native is. And so let's be realistic about where we are. We are resetting the foundation of our technology right now. We're from where Xamarin was to where .NET MAUI is. It's a huge step forward, but it's also a bit of we're taking care of foundational things. And so once we've got that strong foundation and we've achieved the quality and the stability, then we can start building up and out, right? Like, there's a lot of things that we want to do, but we got to get these things taken care of first. So once we do that, we can get super aggressive in other areas, and we're going to be there. We're going to get there. Because this is why Microsoft and .NET is making this significant investment into multi-platform development. So hang in there, but also give us that feedback. Let us know, what is it that you really like? put on your magic wand hat, whatever. Give me your dream list of, man, if I could take over Dave's job, here's what I would want to see done. Totally, tell me that. That would be great to know.
Like as a program manager, like you, and especially if you're, working with the engineering team, you hear a lot of like bad feedback all the time. Yes, tooling is broken, some things are coming together, but you got folks like Dan and me and everybody else in the chat room who have been, doing XAML for years and years. Like we are old. We really like what we see. We see the promise. We see all the work that's been going in, and listening to the community and doing all the right things. So we're excited about the future. There is a lot of MVU love, obviously, and you have mentioned a few things. And I think like Mr. Nomers was asking about Comet as well. So I think you still have to go for the mass, like the highest usage first.
Yeah, and so this is another thing that I think will bear a lot of fruit for us, but you won't realize it until it's actually happening. I mean, when I say you, I mean the larger community. So some of that foundational architectural stuff that we've done here in Maui is to separate out those platform implementations of controls, not just to benefit the Maui developer, but to also create a set of cross-platform controls. It's a whole thing that anybody can build on top of. So we call it Maui Core. We've called it other things in the past, but essentially it's completely decoupled from MVVM, Maui controls, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what Common is building on top of. And we kind of learned this pattern through the Common experiment, and it's evolved since. But it's given us something that we can experiment on in other directions without incurring the cost of, building layer upon layer, right? I mean, if you have too many layers in your abstraction, now you're just paying cost all the way down. Whereas we created this entry point way down here at the core. And so that's what Comet's using. You're right. MVU is certainly exciting, and we want to see where it can go. We want to see where the Common experiment can go, because I do think it can create that simpler developer experience for new developers in particular, because, it's almost all C#. You don't ever have to leave that language. The hot reload concept is baked into it. So it's all very aware of that, and it's built for that level of performance from a developer standpoint. But yeah, the majority of developers and enterprises and everybody out there, they want to know that they're buying into something that is well understood and established. And so for that purpose, XAML and MVVM and traditional .NET development is where we're going to serve them. So and it's not an either or thing. And the great thing is that we have a shared foundation that we're all building on. So we're not breaking the ecosystem and forking it out into a bunch of different places. We're building something shared and then building unique experiences on top of it. So I don't know if that all made tons of sense.
It does.
We'll see if it bears that fruit that I'm hoping for. Windows Phone.
Chat room, we need stronger drinks to talk about Windows Phone.
Do you see my Windows Phone in the background? Or?
I have plenty of those actually under my desk somewhere. So yeah, and just to kind of reiterate, and Victor, you're giving us dates here. David did not give us dates, but let's just assume somewhere we are shipping. Is this something you recommend? Like you said, like .NET MAUI is essentially part of .NET. Like, so enterprises should have that confidence going forward. Like we are seeing lots of big clients, enterprise clients who are wanting to investigate and see the promise because they want things on desktop. And I mean, .NET MAUI essentially started with the mobile first mindset, because this is evolution of Xamarin.Forms, but the desktop support is really big for lots of enterprise apps.
Yeah, it's funny. You remember when mobile first design was like a big push, and everybody's like, oh, now that we're designing for multiple screen sizes, start with the most focused one and then build out from there. And that was like celebrated. And when people are like, oh, but Maui is mobile first, it's like, well, like that's not a bad thing. It means that we have strong focus. Certainly it means that we have some gaps in terms of controls that are only found on the desktop. So that's like a tree view control, a data grid control, and things like that. And so we rely upon the ecosystem to fill those gaps, or at least get the ball rolling. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, You know, we haven't even touched on the cool stuff around Blazor and the web view interactions. I don't know if you have anybody coming on later who's going to dive into that stuff, but I know that you guys have published some great stuff on your blogs about that. We're seeing a lot of excitement there. The ability to share more .NET code while retaining native experiences on the platforms and technologies that you're delivering on. We really think that there's value in that. You know, it's yes, you're not going to get exact pixels everywhere without some significant effort, but you're going to give a better experience to your users. So we still believe in that value.
Yeah, no, we appreciate your thoughts, and I know like we stand on the shoulder of giants. Like kudos to the entire engineering team and all of you folks who've been driving .NET MAUI forward. It's been a journey. It's been a heck of a journey.
Yeah, and we're just getting started, man.
Yeah,
just getting started. Yeah, so we are GAing very soon. I didn't give you a date, but you know, I mean, anybody that reads a calendar can figure it out.
Yeah. All right, David. You're a busy man, so thank you for taking the time out.
Thank you.
We could talk to you for hours and hours, but we got a solid lineup of folks that we're going to bring on and off throughout the next 4 hours. So, David, we appreciate you. And folks, if you need to find David or any of the things that you showed off or any of the code, it's all up here on David's GitHub repo, or just ask him questions. Great to see you, David, online. Yes.
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I will answer all the things when I can.